In this video, I'm showing the progress of this animation I did in ToonSquid, Horus Hippo in Egypt from 1928, and I'm using it for my graphic novel, Horus Hippo Returns. I'm doing this animation in ToonSquid, and I'm doing frame by frame animation, and I'm animating everything on once, which means each frame is drawn. So here I am doing the roughs of the animation. It's Horus Hippo who is carrying a mummy and he's running. It is a chase scene between Kane Crook, which is the villain in the story, and Horus Hippo is running away from Kane Crook. The best way to learn animation is just to do it. And after I did the roughs of the animation, I made a cleanup of the animation because the mummy has a lot of bandages and they need to be in the right place. And I animated the stripes of the bandage on a separate layer so they can still be in place. Otherwise they will jitter. And on top of that, I did the inks. This is a time lapse of me inking Horus Hippo and the mummy is Harlow Hippo. And I'm using the vector brushes, and I'm also coloring everything in vectors, because then you have better line quality, and even if you want to enhance the image or move it closer, then the ink work will stay intact. I animated everything on the main timeline. I'm making a symbol out of the colored version of the animation. So just tap on the layer and then select Create a Symbol. And then the symbol is transported into the library, and there you can edit it or import it into ToonSquid on a separate timeline. So now I'm in the animation symbol. And I'm going to make a new scene by pressing on the plus, and I'm going to import the animation of Horus Hippo. And it's always good practice, to set it to frame number 1. So this is a walk or a run cycle of 12 frames. And I'm going to extend it because I want to test out if I can let him run from left to right. And you can use the keyframe, so press on the little dot, and on frame 1 I'll drag it to the left, and then I go to the end frame, which is frame 48, and drag it to there, and then ToonSquid will do the in-between. I'm also testing out a background. I drew this background much larger in Procreate using the watercolor brushes, because all of these backgrounds were in those days were painted in watercolors. And I'm also going to drag the background from left to right. But I always forget to set everything to frame number 1. So now I'm dragging it to frame number 1, and I'm going to extend the background because it's now only on frame number 1. And this is just a little test to see if the pan of the background is working. And I have to delete the first run because now Hippo will run stationary in one position, and I'm going to animate the background so that it is a pan of the background. So I'm using the keyframes again and the transform tool and drag the background from right to left. And then it looks like Hippo or your character is running from left to right. I also made an animation of the crook, which is called Cane Crook, and it's a walk cycle or a run cycle of a horse. So this is the sketch I did, and then on top of it I inked it, and later on I also made the animation in vectors. The reason why I'm doing everything in vectors is when you want to make your animation drawing bigger, then the line quality will stay the same. And when I inked it, there's also a properties panel. When you select the properties, you can do it per frame. Then you use pixel layer, then you can change the opacity and also the blend mode. But if you want to have it for the entire layer, then you have to select animation layer, and then you can lower the opacity and also change the blend mode. So this is the animation of Cane Crook, and this is the final animation in color. And I also made an animation symbol out of it, and it's now in the library. When you press on select your animation clip and then edit. I also added a shadow layer, and I also drew this with vectors, and I also wanted to lower the transparency and also the blend mode of the shadow. I used animation layer, but I think it's a bug in ToonSquid. When you export your animation, it will only export the half of your animation. So I had to use vector layer, and then for each keyframe, I had to lower the opacity and change the blend mode. So this is the animation of Cane Crook running after Horse Hippo. Great thing about ToonSquid is that you can make different scenes in one project. So I'm going to make a new scene and bring everything together. So what I'm first going to do is import the background. And this is a background I painted in Procreate. It's 4906 pixels by 610 pixels. And when you paint a pan background that keeps running around, the most important thing is that the left and the right side need to be similar. So what I did in Procreate is copy this part and duplicate it to the right, and then flipped it horizontal. So now it's a perfect pen background. I'm going to make it bigger with the transform tool, and I'm going to drag it to the right. On a separate layer, and I need to drag this to frame number 1, and I'm going to make an animation of 8 seconds, and when you pinch it, you see more of the timeline. So it's 8 seconds. I'm going to import Horus Hippo animation, and just gonna place him in the middle. Also going to extend this animation to 8 frames, and I'm also going to import Cane Crook, and I'm also going to extend it to 8 seconds. Cane Crook I'm going to put on the left side of the screen because he will enter the scene later. Now you have the animation clips running on the timeline. And what I now need to do is animate the background. So it seems that Horus Hippo is running from left to right. I'm going to select frame number 1. I'm going to use the keyframe. First select the background layer, the keyframe, and with the transform tool you can change the background. So this is frame number 1, and now I'm going to frame number 4, or not frame number 4, but at 4 seconds, and we'll change it. That's frame 97. Now I'm going to drag the entire background to this position. And now I'm going to, because it has to be a moving background or a panning background, I'm going to copy this keyframe, and now I have to extend or zoom in on the timeline, and this is at frame 97 and 98. I'm going to copy the first frame, so now it's back here again. Now I'm going to the end of the timeline and first copy this keyframe, go to the right, and here I'm going to paste it. And now you have a panning background that keeps looping. What I want in this scene is that Horus Hippo is running, and later on the crook or the villain comes behind him. I let Horus Hippo run from, I'm just going to zoom out of the timeline. First let Horus Hippo run. I'm going to copy this for 3 seconds. And of course you need to always be on the right layer. I'm going to copy this, go to 3 seconds. Paste it, and from here on he's going to run to the right. So I'm going to drag it, and the in-between will be made by ToonSquid. And the only problem I have with ToonSquid if you have a big background, you don't see where the real frame is. So now he is out of the frame. So Orsippo runs out here. So now I can let Kane Crook, the villain, come in on 3 seconds as well. I'll drag him here. It's a little bit too close. 5 seconds. And a little bit more in the middle. So just test it out. Go to frame 1. And now you can export your animation. Go to Actions, Export, then Current Clip. And now you can see if it's working. Export it, and then it is exported, and you can store it on your iPad or store it in new saved files. Save video. Just gonna check it in my photos. And here you have the animation. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like it, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos about ToonSquid, I've made a playlist and I'll leave a link below this video. Drawing is fun and practice makes perfect. See you next time. Doodles!